We're up to Daf Chav Beis Amid Aleph, and we're about 10 lines above the Mishnah. The Gemara is digressing here to a separate subject, and we're talking now about Geirim. And it begins Amalei Rabbi Rav Nachman. The last word line is Rav. Rabbi said to Rav Nachman, Chazim Mar Dehai the Rabbanon. I saw one of these rabbis, the Osam my Rabba. Did you see one of these rabbis that came from the west, from Israel? And he said that they asked in Israel, Gozru Shniyas Begerim Eloi Gozru Shniyas Begerim. If someone converts, technically he no longer has families. He can technically marry his sister, his mother, but we don't want people to go around saying, the only reason why he became Jewish is because he wanted to marry his sister. So we don't want them to say that Yiddishkeit is easier, to be promiscuous than as a goy. But what about Shniyas? What about Shniyas that they let's say didn't follow, but for them it's permitted? But are we going to say as a Yid it's still going to be prohibited as well? We'll say, look, it was permitted as a goy, it should be permitted as a Yid as well. Amalei, he said to him, well, the answer is very quite simple. He said, even his own sister and mother. Had not been for that reason that we're on the Chav Beis Amid Aleph about 10 lines from the Mishnah. We don't know by Gerim they convert. What about Shniyas? If it wouldn't be for the reason that we don't want them to say Yiddishkeit is easier than Goy, like goes to Rabbani, we wouldn't even have a problem. He could even marry his own sister. Shniyas Mebaye. Shniyas as a Goy, it's permitted. So of course, as a Yid, he's allowed to marry, his grandmother. Nachman said, Gadim. Now that we mentioned it, name of Bahumils, let me tell you an interesting halacha. There's a difference between how we treat Gerim as far as marriage is concerned, and as far as other laws. Brothers from this sharing the same mother, lo yeidu, they shouldn't testify because we know for a fact that they're related, because by the father, who knows who the father is, but the mother, we obviously know who the mother is. So they shouldn't, because as a Yid, relatives can't testify as a goy. But if they did, it's all right because technically they're not related. But paternal brothers can go ahead and say Eidos because who says that even brothers? And not only that, we say that, but we don't go after the father in this sense. There's no real father there. Amemar says, I feel like Amemar says, no, even brothers, maternal brothers can go ahead and testify. Now we want to know what's the difference. Why when it comes to Arayis, we say as a Yid, treat your sister as your sister, and why when it comes to other to Eidos we don't? Eidul, he says simple. Erba the Chomus, or Erba is something that every individual does on their own, and therefore, if we're going to allow, let's say a guy marrying his sister, other people might think, you're allowed to marry your sister. So therefore, we have to be more careful. Eidus who's the one who takes care of Eidus? Only a bezin, and they're not going to make any mistakes. Just because a guy is allowed to testify, let's say with his brother. It does, or against his brother, it doesn't matter because it bezin knows the Gershon's guy he got them. I mean, a guy that is converts is like a newborn person. Now this is a saying we have all over Shas. Gershon's guy them. And Chaim Sefer asks, where do we know this from? In Shuvas. And truth of the matter is, you look in the show, nobody brings a mucker. But I remember there's a Baal Turim in Parashas Kisava, and something a pasuk about Yosel Almana, and I can't remember exactly what pasuk it is, but it's in Kisava, and the Baal Turim says from here you learn out that Gershon's guy is Kikotten Shenoila Dummy, because I think it says Ger Yosel. He put the two words together, and then he says, every Ger is like a Yosel because they have no family. There's a big machlek is a shiny. What about a husband who's not a Ger, but a brother-in-law who is a mumer, who is a deliberate Meshumid, converted Christianity, whatever it is, and technically is a Yid. Is there a din of Yibam there or not? How do we treat that? There's a fascinating machlekes whether a mumer, even Yarshins, is he part of the family or he's no longer part of the family? Big machlekes. I'm just going right here. Okay, Mishnah. Mishnah has a brother, as long as you have a brother anywhere in the world, she is bound to be Yibam. She has to do Yibam. And it's considered her brother in every respect. Exactly what we're adding, we'll soon see. But if your mother is a goy, that's not called your brother, and or from a maid, even though you have the same father, it's not your brother. Ben, even though you convert us on Ben, if somebody has a son, anywhere, as long as you have a son, there's no yibum. In fact, if the husband had a son from another wife, and he died, but this woman had no children, there's no yibum. And if this kid, we'll soon see what kid we're talking about here. We'll see we're talking about a mamzer. If he hits his father or he curses his father, it's treated as a son. If a guy has a son with a goy, it's not his son, or with a shivcha, it's not his son. Saying about it, first of all, you start with saying, "Become welcome, brother, anywhere in the world." What are you trying to add? Mamzer, including your brother, is a mamzer. Your brother-in-law is a mamzer. There's a thing. Pshita, Achavu was his brother. Why should it be differently? No, Ma'at thought later we learned that Achva ben Yosef. Yaakov, we learned before we learned from the children of Yaakov. He's Malal Shaden. Just like over there, remember they're talking about there's a common father. Just like over there, they're all kosher. But like Psulim, none of them are apostle. Afkan Kshem Psulim. We would have thought over here about Yibam also has to be kosher children. Commercial, that's not so. Maybe Taki kosher children. Even the lenient Yibam Nipta, since as far as if there's a child, and even though the child's a mamzer, it exempts the mother from Yibam, as we'll soon see, is Mizaki na Mizaki. Therefore, when it comes to Yibam, as a brother, also it brings out the mitzvah of Yibam. In what respect? The Yosha is a brother mamzer, also Yashim with a tamil, like if he dies and you're a kohen, you have to go be metamit him. So Pshita Achavu, it's his brother. Why shouldn't he? Because a mamzer, so what? I would have thought. It says in Pasuk, that a kohen has to give could defile himself for his wife that's close to him. That's his wife, right? And then there's another pasuk, however, it says that he should not become tamei to desecrate him. In other words, yet to the husband, to his wife. So does he go to the cemetery? Does not. Sometimes they do, sometimes they don't. Okay, how's it work? If she's a kosher woman, yes. But not a kosher woman, no. So too, we would have thought just like by a wife only, a kohen only if it's a wife that he's allowed to marry. So I would have thought also when it comes to brothers, only a brother who's a legitimate son, a brother, I'm not a mamzer. Commercial, that no makes no difference. Maybe taka so, maybe taka not your brother. When it comes to a wife, you had a choice. You could divorce her. So therefore, we say don't defile yourself for her. But a brother, what can you do? Your brother is always your brother. My time, why is that different? It says in Pasuk by Shifcha, it says, who owns the children? Let's say an Ebed has a relation with Shifcha Knanis. Whose children are they? They belong to the master. So they're not your children at all. That's why they don't count. If you have a child anywhere, it exempts the mother from the including even if the husband had a child, the mamzer, the wife who had no children, is exempt. My time, my wife, it says a pasuk, ben ainloi, if he has no children. Now the word ainloi is written with the yud. It could have said ben ainloi aleph nun without a yud. By saying the yud, it's as if to say ayin a love. Examine if any children, even the remote corners, even a mamzer. This child's a mamzer, hits his father, he is liable because he's a son. The question is, why should he be liable? Can we call it we say that the only time that you're not allowed to curse somebody is if he behaves like a yid. This guy's father didn't behave like a yid. He produced a mamzer. So why should the mamzer be liable if he hit his father? Says the Gemara. Papa, but he did tshuva. So talking about your father did tshuva. Okay, he produced the mamzer, but did tshuva. Therefore, now you have to treat him like your father. But how about tshuva? If we're asked, how can you do tshuva once you produce a mamzer? We learn more chagig in that Mishnah, the Daf test. It's impossible. Now, something krum, something crooked, you can never straighten out. If you had a mamzer, it's too late. How can you do tshuva? There's a mamzer. It doesn't matter that Veda exists in the world, but you are behaving like a yid, you did tshuva, and therefore you have to treat him like your father. Tell them what we learned. If somebody has relations with his sister, we're going to learn that two psukim in the Torah. One pasuk in the Torah says that the erva of your sister, the daughter of your father, or the daughter of your mother, right? You're only halfway related, maternally or paternally. And it says, Meledet Bai is born at home and Meledet Chut born outside. You're not having any relations with. That's one pasuk. Nothing. It doesn't mention yet. And then it says another pasuk, the erva of the daughter of the wife of your father, your sister. So it's two psukim. And the first pasuk doesn't mention a word about wife. So we're going to learn the Gemara that this is talking about even a woman that you raped and had a son or a daughter. They're related to you. But it doesn't say here a sister who happens to share both parents. It only talks about a sister who shared with you one parent, paternal and maternal, and that's important, as we'll soon see. But the other pasuk says that the daughter of your wife, and it's your daughter, obviously as well, and it's a chayzchehi. So what do you need two psukim for? Says Gemara, I don't remember. If you come to your sister, if you had relations with your sister with incest, which is your real sister from your mother, and you share father and mother, chayiv, you have two sins. One for the pasuk mishum achoisei, the pasuk that says your sister, and mishum bash esav, and the other pasuk which says the daughter of your father's wife. Rabbi Yosef and Yehuda says no. There's no two averis. It's only a sister. The other pasuk, ever bas esav, has nothing to do. It's not a second avera on that pasuk. So my time, let's go through each one. Where did the bunny get two averas? It says in one pasuk, it says your sister for your father, your mother. Erbas bas esav your sister. What do you need the second pasuk? The erba of the daughter of your father's wife. Isn't that the same thing? There must be to tell you that two of if you had incest with your sister from a mother that she was raped, it's not your mother, but a mother that was raped. Okay, then you have one of her. But if it's from a normal wife, then it's two of hers. No, I disagree. No, on the contrary, because the pasuk says the daughter of your father's wife, and it says why does it have to say it's your sister? We obviously know it's your sister. It's telling you that no, you're only getting one aveda, the aveda of sister. Just the opposite. The sister, but not chayim because it's your father's, it's your father's wife's daughter. But what do they do with this limit of a chayzchi? The boy they use it for they tell you no. You know what you need it for? Because the first pasuk tells you only if you have a maternal sister or paternal sister. What about you have a maternal paternal sister? She's both. She's a sister for your father, share the same father and same mother. We don't know. Logic says surely you'll be chayiv, but you cannot punish based on logic. So therefore, the pasuk has to say it again. Loimed to tell you in this pasuk it says the father's wife's daughter. So we know it's your father, you share father and mother. Tell you that normally you don't punish and you don't warn based on logic. You don't warn on logic, and also we learned you don't punish based on logic. But Rabbi Yosef said that's what the purpose of this pasuk is, only for that. Just say the word sister, and then we'll know. Why do you have to repeat it again? To teach you that you can't use logic. A sister that you share father, mother, you're also liable. Fine. The extra word he comes to limit something. What else? To tell you, the only avera you do here is your sister. You're not chayiv for the second avera that it's your mother and father's daughter. But why do they do? What do they do with the word he? You need the word he. Why? You shouldn't then argue be'alma generally. You wouldn't say he. You would say, well, generally you would use logic, and therefore you don't need an extra pasuk to tell you that if you share a father and mother, surely you'll chayiv. Why does the Torah say here a Because sometimes the Torah will have a revolution in it. Sometimes, even though something was logical, the Torah records it. Therefore, no. I want you to know that even though logically, of course, if it's a sister sharing a father and mother, you should be liable. It doesn't matter. Logic does not considered. You cannot warn somebody some kind of a new halacha based on logic. It has to be written in the Torah. But Yosef will argue back. He counters that if that's the only reason why it says to tell you get only one aveda, not two. Sorry, is to tell you that you don't learn from logic and that to have to record it. Then the word should have been written in the pasuk where it talks about the erva of the share paternal sister and maternal sister. Then it would say this pasuk of this extra word and you'll know also even your complete sister, and you'll know because logic is not good enough. Why does it bring these words in a totally different pasuk where it talks about your father's wife, daughter? To teach it. It must be to teach you there's only one aved here and not two averis. According to him, since there's only one aved, so what's the purpose of this whole pasuk? After we know already that your paternal maternal sisters are and everything else, and he tells you that even they share both parents. What do you need the pasuk? Ervas bas eishes aviz. What does that come and tell you? The whole pasuk is extra because you only get one aved anyway. The boy he needs it to teach you the only time that's considered your sister if this woman can marry your father. Her mother can marry your father. But if it's your sister, but it came, let's say, your father had relations with a maid or a veded chadim with a non-Jewish woman, even though she share the same father, it's not your sister, and you're not lying, but you know aveda for having relations with her. Since the mother is not considered married to your father, it's not issue with your sister. That's what I use the pasuk for. Says the Gemara, once you tell me that's coming to exclude someone that's unmarried to your father. So why do they have to go that far? Talk about even a woman that he raped. Since the fact that they weren't married together, maybe that girl is not your sister. Why don't we say, tell you a sister that was from a victim? So you must say, that you cannot say. Based on what the Rava said. The Rava asked an interesting question. See, in one pasuk it says, Ervas bas bincha your granddaughter from your son or from your daughter don't have any relations with. Sounds like her bas b'na, but her children, no, not through you, but from another husband. Bas b'na dida or bas bita da shall permit it. That's one pasuk. But see, then another pasuk says, Ervas isha bita, the erva of a woman and her daughter. So it's her daughter, not your daughter. You shouldn't have relations. As Basbana and her granddaughter through his son, but as Basbita, granddaughter's daughter, is forbidden. So what's going on here? One pasuk says that her grandchildren are forbidden to you, and one pasuk says her grandchildren are not permitted to you. Okay, so how do we work it out? When do we say that you're allowed to have relations with her granddaughter if she's a victim? She's not your wife. But if he did marry her, even though the children came from a different marriage, you're not allowed to. So we see clues from here that, but if, let's say, there's a victim, at least her daughter is your sister. One was a victim and one was married. So therefore, obviously, you cannot exclude that. That definitely, halachically, is your sister. If he raped somebody and the girl, definitely is a sister. Okay, so what's it coming to exclude? If let's say it's a non-Jewish woman. Says the Gemara to Rabbi Yossi, but maybe the Ema Prat l'chayav, maybe we're talking about forget about a goy. Let's say a kohen marries a divorcee, they tell you that girl is not your sister because they shouldn't be married. The parents. Amar Rapapa, that's not a good question because they shouldn't be married, but if it did, it's a valid marriage, and therefore the girl is their sister. But a guy, if you marry a non-Jewish woman, it's not a marriage, and therefore that the girl is not your sister. Amar Papa Chayav Elav and Tavs Kedushin. We know that Chayav Elav and the Kedushin is valid. It says a person, it says in Pashas Kisei, a person married two women, one he loved and one he hated, and therefore and the one he hated had a child. He's the oldest one, whether you like it or not. Now the obvious question is, the Eibusha tolerates. Why even allow such a discussion that the woman you don't like, therefore you want to maltreat her children? What does that mean? The Eibusha contends with such things that you have your personal issues with the woman. Therefore, what you're going to punish the children? You can't do that. Said that the Eibusha likes. And Snua said, the Eibush likes it's a valid marriage, and the Eibush doesn't like it's not a valid marriage. In other words, you married someone that you're living in sin. And still, as long as the marriage is valid, Torah says that child is a child and it inherits. Clearly, that if a kohen, let's say, marries a grusha, the child is a child and the sister is a sister. There's a marriage there. Okay, says the Gemara, why do you have to go all the way to a non-Jewish woman? But let's say, let's say it's coming to exclude a woman that is chayiv chorus, for example, incest. That if your father if a father married a brother married a sister, the children are not considered brothers and sisters. Maybe that's what the pasuk, because that's not a valid marriage, and the marriage, even if they married, it's not going to be acceptable. On my Rabba Makro, not for that, it says the pasuk, Ervas Achaysa Bas Avicha Basimecha. In the pasuk it says before, the erva of his sister who paternal or maternal, and then the pasuk says Maledas Ba is either born in the house or Maledas Chutz, born outside. When you born outside, which means whether we tell the father, it's a great marriage, continue with it. We tell the father, this is not a valid marriage, you better get out of it because it's your sister. The Torah clearly says, even though they should never have married and the marriage is not a valid marriage, you should say her out, but it's your sister. So this pasuk comes to teach you that even when the marriage is not a valid marriage, the daughter is a daughter, and that's by incest, by erva. So how do you know? Maybe that's whether the father continue. To take out. How do you know to include, let's say, erba, which is, let's say, incest? Maybe it's comes to include a non-Jewish woman. Maybe when the Torah says we tell you to walk away from this marriage, we're talking about if you marry a non-Jewish woman, get away from the marriage, and the child is your sister, two children, a brother and a sister. They're if the father shared had a son somebody else, and then a daughter with this woman, they're brothers and sisters. Maybe that's what the puzzle is going to tell you. How do you know which one to include? Erba to include a non-Jewish woman. So what it says, because Amakra says the pasuk Bas Eishes Avicha. We have another pasuk that says that it has to be someone that's considered a marriage. Mishi Yeshli Eishes Lavicha. Only this marriage. But a non-Jewish woman is not considered a marriage. So you might understand. One pasuk you're coming to include incest where there's no marriage, and the other pasuk is coming to exclude a non-Jewish woman where there's no marriage, and he says it's not included. So how do you know which one to include and which one to exclude? Maybe include the non-Jewish woman that the children are brothers or siblings, and maybe when it comes to the incest, they say the children are not siblings. How do you know which way to go? Why you decide going one way over another? Says I'll tell you. But it makes more sense. Chayav cases have we include chayav cases. She can't toss him in kedushin in la'alma because kedushin you can marry you, but you can marry another yid. Okay, therefore it makes sense that the children are siblings. Bashenke, a non-Jewish woman, can marry any Jewish person. So therefore the children are not siblings. So you want maybe the other way around. You should include them because they themselves could have converted and they would become full-fledged Yid, and then you could have married them as a Yid. But your sister, you'll never be able to marry. So therefore, on the contrary, maybe if you marry a non-Jewish woman, the children are siblings because there's a potential for the mother to become a Yid. And with incest, the children are not siblings because there's never a way that you can ever marry her. If she converts, is about kedushin. So when it answers, right now she was never Megayer. And when she's Megayer, she's a different person. This person you can never marry. If she converts, we just said before, it's a different person altogether. So therefore there's no potential and no Yid can marry her. You'll stop people.